Are you ready to make some gorgeous low FODMAP beef nachos? I know I am. Hi everyone, my name is Alana and I'm the founder of A Little Bit Yummy, your home of delicious low FODMAP and allergy friendly recipes. Now it's an absolute pleasure to be taking part in this year's Free From an Allergy virtual show, and I can't wait to help you make a delicious low FODMAP beef nacho dish. So, shall we crack into it? So our first step I want you to do is to prep some spring onion. Now when you're on the low FODMAP diet, the different parts of the spring onion are really important. So the bulb, which is this white and lime green bit here, is higher in FODMAPs and becomes high FODMAP for fructans. So we want to avoid this part. However, these dark green leafy leaves are low FODMAP, and these are perfect when you're on the low FODMAP diet. So what I've already done is wash these spring onions so they're nice and clean, and now we're going to finely chop this top segment. We're going to use some of it in a fresh salsa, and the other part is going to add the oniony flavour into our beef nacho mix. Okay, so how are we going to chop it? Well, we are going to grab a sharp knife and we're just going to finely slice it, kind of like you would slice an onion. And so we're just going to do that really quickly. Doesn't have to be super fine. And really what we want to do is just make sure that any flavour that we've taken out of the dish, because it might be high FODMAP, that we're adding back in a different way. Okay, so you can see I've only used the top part where it's nice, soft, leafy green leaves. And now I'm going to put the rest of this in a glass on my windowsill so it can regrow, and I can reharvest these again in another week or so. Okay, so just to finish off the spring onion, we're now going to finely dice it, just so we don't get any large segments in our dish. And this is going to make it nice and lovely for us to eat. Okay, so we're going to put some of this aside for our fresh salsa, and then the rest we are going to use in our beef dish. So you're going to put 1 to 2 tablespoons aside for that fresh salsa, and then the rest is just going to stay on the chopping board, and we are going to use it in our beef mince. Now, we're going to start prepping it now. So in front of me I have pure ground beef or beef mince, depending on what country you're in. I've got some tomato paste, I have some low FODMAP chicken stock, so this doesn't contain any onion or garlic. If you don't know where to find low FODMAP chicken stock, then check the FODMAP Friendly app or the Monash University Low FODMAP Diet app. We have some plain canned tomatoes, some gorgeous garlic infused oil. We've also got chopped red capsicum, some spinach, and some carrot too. Okay, so what we're going to do is add a tablespoon of garlic infused oil into our hot pan, and then from there we are going to scoop in our beef mince, so our ground beef. Once you've done that, we are then going to let this simmer for a few minutes until the beef is like beautifully browned and delicious. Once your beef has browned, we are then going to look at adding your other ingredients. So we are now going to add to the pan some finely chopped red capsicum. So this is going to add a bit of texture to your beef nacho mince. So you're going to stir that through, and then you're going to let that soften for 1 to 2 minutes. While that softens, we are also going to add in our taco or nacho spice mix. So this contains smoked paprika, oregano, as well as cumin, and then we've also got some ground coriander as well. So lots of fragrant spices in here. Now if you love chili and a bit of heat, then you could also add some chili powder into the mix as well, providing there is no onion or garlic powder in that mixture. Oh, it's starting to smell pretty good. It's starting to smell a little like beef nachos, which is delicious. Okay, so next up we're going to add some moisture into the pan. We're going to add your tomatoes, your canned tomatoes. Now, a fun fact about canned tomatoes is that they actually become high or moderate FODMAP pretty quickly. So what you need to note is that a 400 can of canned tomatoes like this needs to be divided into at least 4 serves to keep it low FODMAP. Okay, so we've now added our spice mixture, our capsicum, our canned tomatoes. So that leaves us with a few other veggies and some tomato paste and stock to add in as well. So we are going to take 2 tablespoons of tomato paste and add this to the mixture as well. So this will just help deepen those flavors and make sure it's super delicious. We are also going to add in some spinach. So I just want this to cook down. It's going to disappear. You're not really going to taste it. I'm a big believer in hiding as many vegetables as possible into a dish. And so that capsicum, the spinach, and we're also going to add in some grated carrot will help you get your 5+ a day. They're beautiful low FODMAP veggies as well, so you're not going to end up with FODMAP stacking, and it's just going to boost your overall nutrition. Eating the rainbow is fun, and I really love it. Okay, so we're just mixing it through. At the moment, we're going to add a little bit of stock. We're going to turn the heat down to low, and we're sort of going to let that simmer down until all of those veggies cook down for about, 10 minutes. And then while we do that, we're going to make a salsa. Okay, so we have our beef nacho mix currently simmering down. We need to add in our chopped spring onion leaves into that. So we're going to do that first, and then we're going to quickly prep our salsa. Okay, so the spring onion leaves are now in our beef nacho mix. We're now going to make a beautiful fresh salsa to serve on top of our corn chips and our ground beef. So you'll need a bowl. You need some cucumber. So I have already pre-sliced 1 small cucumber into here. We have our few tablespoons of spring onion leaves that we chopped before. We have a lime. We have some fresh coriander, and then we also have a red capsicum. So our first job here is we want to chop up this red capsicum and get it prepped. Now this capsicum is ginormous, like it's absolutely huge, and we're not going to need all of it. I always rinse out the seeds from the capsicum as well, so you might want to do that. And then what we're going to do is we are going to finely dice this so that we can scoop it up onto our corn chips and really enjoy the deliciousness. Now, what I love about red capsicums is that they are super low in FODMAPs. So they make an excellent filler vegetable when you're doing stir fries, Mexican dishes, if you're doing some roast veggies. The ideas here are really endless. But just take care if you're going to use a green capsicum. These are much higher in FODMAPs, and you need to be aware that they have a smaller portion size. Whereas red capsicum, you can pretty much eat freely. Okay, so we have sort of diced half of that. I'm going to start with that amount and see how it looks in our bowl. So we're going to pop that into the bowl here. We are also going to add our chopped cucumber. We're going to mix it together. As you can see right now, we've got more cucumber than we do a red capsicum, and you kind of want it to be a really even ratio. So I'm going to dice a little bit more red capsicum and add that in. The other thing I really love about nachos, which is worth mentioning, is you can customize them to your family. So you can serve them with different side dishes for different family members. So even if you're just the one on the low FODMAP diet, you can still serve the dish with some high FODMAP options that your other family members could enjoy. So, make sure you serve it with a little bit of avocado or some sweet corn on the side, or even some fried onion on the side, because that's going to help your family members protect their gut health while you go through the low FODMAP diet process. You could also think about adding in some a couple of tablespoons of black beans to your serve, or another low FODMAP legume or bean that you tolerate well. Okay, so that is starting to look like a much more even mixture of red capsicum and cucumber. Next up, we're going to add in that spring onion that we diced before. Now I cook with my hands. You're welcome to mix with a spoon if you prefer. We are going to squeeze over 1 to 2 tablespoons of lime juice. If limes aren't in season, then lemon works just as well and will give you that hit of fresh citrus flavor. Okay, over goes the lime juice. I love the smell of fresh limes. Always reminds me of summer, and it always reminds me of sharing meals at the beach with my cousins. Okay, next up we are going to use some fresh coriander. Now my coriander looked beautiful when it was in its package this morning, and I can see it's gorgeous and fresh, but it's so long that it's flopping out of its container at the moment. Okay, so we need some scissors. We're going to cut some fresh coriander. I probably want about 2 to 3 tablespoons here. And this is going to go into our salsa as well. If you don't have coriander on hand, then you can use other herbs such as fresh basil. That also goes amazing in low FODMAP salsa. And you could even look at adding in something like grilled pineapple into your salsa too, if you want to mix it up and bring in a different flavor profile. So all I'm doing right now is finely chopping that coriander, and then we'll mix it through. Oh, smells good, everyone. I hope you can smell it through looking at it at the moment, but I know your family is going to absolutely adore this dish. So next up for us is that we're going to season that salsa. Okay, so to season the salsa, we are going to do a couple of grinds of salt, a couple of grinds of black pepper, and then I would suggest you taste it. If it's tasting too tart, if your lime was that little bit sour, then we would recommend adding in a little pinch of sugar into this just to balance out the flavor profiles. Right, so our beef nacho mix has been simmering away here and reducing down for like about 10 to 15 minutes now. So you want it to get to a point where there's just a little bit of sauciness left, but most of it's been reabsorbed in, and it looks like it's something that's going to be really scoopable on those corn chips. We want to taste it now, make sure it's tasting delicious, and then we also want to season it. So I'm going to season it really generously with black pepper and also really generously with salt. Now, depending on the tomato paste you used and the canned tomatoes you used, you might find you need to add up to half a teaspoon of salt to bring out those flavors. Because you're making your sauce from scratch, there isn't all of the salt in there that you'd find in commercial products. So you do need to add a little bit to both brighten the flavors and make the dish really tasty. So we've seasoned it now. We're going to give it sort of like a final stir through. We're going to give it a little taste test. And then if we like it, if we think it's ready, then we're going to add it into our dish and start serving. Now, the thing to remember about cooking is that everything's flexible. If you taste this beef mixture and you're like, oh, it could do with a bit more smoked paprika, I'd like it to have a bit more of a chili hit, then you can of course add a little bit more of those herbs and spices into the mix. They're all low FODMAP and you can enjoy them. Yum. That is so good. And honestly, guys, the salt does make a huge difference. We are now going to dish. We're going to create our own nacho bowl to enjoy. So, first things we need to discuss are these bad boys here. Say hello to your nacho corn chips. Now, when you're in the supermarket looking at these, we want you to go for a natural flavor or one flavored with salt. Avoid the fun flavors like cheese or, I don't know, barbecue or spicy nacho corn chip mixes, because those will probably contain onion or garlic powder. And just remember, we've got plenty of fun foods happening on this table to replace those flavors. Right, we're gonna dish now. So I've got my little bowl here. I've pre-portioned in some corn chips. I'm now going to scoop some of my beef mixture, and then I'm going to add our salsa. I am going to add some cheese. Did you guys know that cheese is really low FODMAP? You can enjoy cheddar or Colby or Edam or mozzarella. You can choose whatever cheese you really adore to add into your dish. Oh, I'm so excited. I can already see the color from all of those gorgeous veggies we put into the ground beef mixture. Next, I'm going to top it with our salsa that we made, our cucumber and red capsicum salsa, which of course has little pops of lime, and it also has those little hints of spring onion and cilantro or fresh coriander, depending on where in the world you are. Perfect. Now some optional extras we have on the table. We have sour cream. Sour cream is actually low FODMAP in a 2 tablespoon serve. So you can have a couple of little dollops like this of regular sour cream, and that is completely okay if you are on the first phase of the low FODMAP diet. You don't need to worry too much about that. Don't go crazy, but you can enjoy a dollop. And then we also have some cheese here. Now, I tend to add my cheese on the side. You can put it on top and melt it in the oven before you add the salsa if you prefer, but you can add, you know, your little sprinkle of low FODMAP cheese, and voila, you have one absolutely delicious, absolutely gorgeous, low FODMAP meal that your whole family will love. And just remember, if you're feeding your entire family, you can put some high FODMAP side dishes on the table for them to enjoy too. Well, I hope you love the recipe. Take care. I'm going to go and dig into this right now.